विज्ञापन के माध्यम से आप लोगों तक पहुंचेंगे, जिस तरीके से पोलियो के दौरान भी आप पहुंचे थे, लोग आपकी बात को मानते भी हैं। लेकिन जो जो तबका टीवी नहीं देख पाता है, जिन तक रेडियो की भी सुविधाएं नहीं है, उन तक किस तरीके से पहुंचा जा सकेगा इस पूरी प्रणाली के दौरान?
जी, जब मैं यहाँ पर मंच पे बोल रहा था तो मैंने सबसे ज़्यादा ध्यान जो था वो आकर्षित करवाया था उन वर्कर्स का, जो कि एक्चुअली फील्ड में जाते हैं, गांव-गांव घूमते हैं, जगह जगह जाते हैं। वही लोग हैं जिनके पास टीवी नहीं है, रेडियो नहीं है, जो इस क्षेत्र में काम करते हैं। और इसीलिए मैं उनकी सराहना इतनी ज़्यादा करना चाहता हूँ, क्योंकि देखिए, बहुत से खूबसूरत चेहरे आकर के कुछ बोल देंगे, कुछ कह देंगे। सरकार जो है अपनी तरफ से अपनी मशीनरी शुरू कर देगी, लेकिन कौन उसको जा कर के इम्प्लीमेंट करेगा, कौन देखेगा कि यह सही जगह पहुंच रहा है, नहीं पहुंच रहा है? ये वो वर्कर्स हैं, वो सबसे महत्वपूर्ण अंश हैं इस कैंपेन के। इसीलिए मैं उनकी सराहना करता हूं। तो आपके प्रश्न का उत्तर ये है कि जितने भी वर्कर्स हैं, उनके द्वारा जो है हमारा जो ये कैंपेन है उन तक पहुँचे।
Last time you had spoken about how women suffering from TB are deeply stigmatized in our society. What measures could be taken to erase that stigma?
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought it up, because I should really have mentioned it in my address there. But I just felt that I'd already spoken about it in my campaign video that you saw. See, one of the things that that really disturbed me, and I say this not just as an individual, but also now as a representative of UNICEF Girl Child, that there's a huge amount of discrimination that takes place towards women who are suffering from hepatitis B or tuberculosis. Dr. Barve made a short reference of it in his speech, where he said that even though a pregnant woman is hepatitis B carrier, there is a 90% chance of the child that she's going to give birth to is going to have the same disease. Many of us are not aware that this has become a social stigma, where even before marriage or after marriage, if the family of the boy come to know that the incoming lady into the house is infected with a particular disease, many a times they refuse her entry into the house. She is discriminated against. She's alienated. She's put away. I think this is a terrible thing that can happen to any person, any individual in society. And in order to prevent that, that is why we are wanting to lay stress on this point, that this social discrimination has to stop. And it can only stop if we can detect it through awareness, whether somebody has, whether we can start the treatment and prevent people from trying to pursue this horrible stigma that we have, that just because the woman is wrong, therefore she's bad for society. That is not acceptable to me, and I'm sure not acceptable to anyone in this room.
Sir, would you like to use cinema as a medium to perhaps get this stigma out and maybe make a film that focuses specifically on this issue?
Yeah, you know, cinema is an entertainment medium. I wouldn't mind doing cinema in the form of a documentary where we talk about all these ailments. But I doubt very much, sir, that you can pick any film, at least from India, where we have not addressed any kind of social issue and found a way around it. We have always stressed upon various important social issues that have plagued our country. And we have taken up, you look at some of the films that have been made, you know, in the 40s and the 50s. Look at films like Sujata and films that were made by Bimal Roy. They've always talked about these stigmas, but have gone around it. We have always found that good has overcome evil. We have given you poetic justice in 3 hours. You and me will not get it in a lifetime. So, you know, films are an entertainment medium, but through that medium, we have never tried to say, oh, just because she's suffering from hepatitis, we're not going to get married to her. I think we've never ever stressed that point. So yes, if you want me to be part of a documentary that talks about this, I'm more than willing to do that. But you know, that's a documentary, and people don't pay. You pay 2,000 rupees to go and see a film in a multiplex, and you're not wanting to see hepatitis B or tuberculosis. It can be a part of the story, which has been very interestingly done in most of our stories, and we've shown in the end that yes, there is success. अभी मैंने अपने आप को समर्पित किया है और स्वास्थ्य मंत्री जी से मैंने कहा है कि मेरी भी मुलाकात उनसे करवाइए, क्योंकि कई बार ऐसा होता है कि अच्छे अच्छे और नेक कैंपेन यहाँ बन जाते हैं, तस्वीरें खिंच जाती हैं, लेकिन जो असली लोग काम करते हैं जा कर के, उनके साथ कभी ना उनके चेहरे देखने को मिलता है, ना कभी उनके काम की सराहना होती है। और इसीलिए मैं चाहता हूँ कि अगली बार जब कोई भी ऐसा एक कैंपेन या अभियान की शुरुआत हो तो उन लोगों के साथ हो जो लोग जा कर के ग्रास रूट लेवल पर जा कर के काम करते हैं। और मैंने आज ये बात, जैसे कि आपने शायद सुना भी होगा, अपने आप को समर्पित किया है कि जब भी आप इस कैंपेन की और अलग एक रुख लेना चाहेंगे तो वर्कर्स को ज़रूर बुलाइएगा और उनके साथ मुझे भी मिलवाइएगा। मैं भी अपनी तरफ से जितना हो सकेगा उन्हें प्रोत्साहित करने का प्रयत्न करूँगा।
Sir, what you have done is not often seen and not often done. We tend to not disclose our problems. I remember my uncle dying of cancer, and we were kids and we were told that you are not supposed to tell anyone that he had cancer. So what was the trigger behind, and how did you just think of disclosing the ailments, and was there any discussion at home, whether to go and whether to say this much to the world, or was there any dilemma in your mind when you just,
Yeah, I never said anything to my family, and neither did I take their opinion. I just feel that illnesses are something that are very personal, and only the person who is suffering from a particular illness will actually know the depth and the intensity that he has to go through during that period. There will be many sympathizers, there will be friends, relatives who will be taking care of you, who will be concerned about you, but none of them, with any exception, will actually be able to feel the pain and the anguish of the person who is actually suffering. If I'm a sufferer, and if I want to extend to the people that they need to be prevented from the kind of suffering that I'm going through, I just felt that I needed to make myself as an example. I have always felt that if I can truthfully say to an audience about a particular campaign, I hope that it will have a deeper impact than just coming and saying a few scripted lines by an ad agency. I've tried this before in another campaign that I did for a product, and I don't mind mentioning it to you. It was for Cadbury's. Cadbury's had worms in their chocolate, and they were in deep trouble. They came to me. They asked me to be their brand ambassador. I asked them, "What is the real reason you've come to me for?" I think that this tale has already been told in one of the book launches that I said, "Did you just come to me because you like my face, or is it that you have a problem?" And they said, "No, we have a problem." And they were honest with me, and I said, "I'm going to be equally honest with you. Show me how you have got rid of these worms in your chocolates." And I asked them to take me to their factory. I went to their factory. I saw the entire process of how they had repaired the process of eliminating worms in chocolates. And then I came back and I said, now I don't need a script. I don't need an ad agency to tell me. I'm just going to speak very honestly and frankly to the audiences. And exactly what I did for Hepatitis B, I did for Cadbury's, and they had almost a 60% repair almost overnight. So I think it's in matters like this, it is important for somebody to take a personal example. I cannot hide the fact that this comes with a burden of immodesty. I have to say, like tuberculosis, for example, they say that it's a disease that happens to poor people or people who live in lesser means. It feels very awkward to say that, by the grace of God, I'm not in that category. But the fact is that even though I'm not in that category, I still contracted tuberculosis. And therefore it can happen to anyone. It is more to stress the point that if it can happen to somebody who lives in lesser environments, it can also happen to somebody who supposedly lives in better environments. We lived in air-conditioned rooms and away from dirt, and you know what I'm trying to say. But if it can happen to me, it can happen to anyone. But if I can survive it, if I can have it detected in time, and if I'm standing in front of you, then I want to be that example of the people that I talk to and say, there is a cure, and you can be standing healthy and for the rest of your life if you were to get it detected in time. That's really behind the reason why I talk about my illnesses. I hope there aren't many more illnesses that I have to talk about, because I'm running out of various diseases that I carry. But jokes apart, really, because I was infected with tuberculosis, because now down with hepatitis B, and God knows what is going to come next. But if it ever does, I shall be more than happy to talk about it.